How you doing? It's Iowa Hunter here. We're not down at the Rocket Bee today. I'm in my condo. We're trying to get the house finished up still. I haven't been on for a while, but there really hasn't much been good going on. My father's 92. He got a really bad stint in the hospital. We thought we were going to lose him, and he came out of it. Getting a little rehab at the nursing home right now, and he looks 5 years younger. He'll get out this Friday. We should get into the house, the new house here in the next maybe 3 weeks or so. But everything seems like it's a fight. As far as the food plots go, you know, I had a good food plot down below, but it's got a lot of grass growed up in it. I haven't had time to care for it like I should. Plus, when it's this hot, you know, I hate to do anything to it. You know, you hate to mow it, you hate to spray it. You know, we just have had no rain. We had nothing but rain. I have rebuilt one of my crossings and made it really nice and wide, like 28 foot wide almost. And but my top food plots I put in did terrible. I put all that money in all that power plant, and I killed off the weeds multiple times with Roundup before I planted, so I didn't have a whole ton of weeds. But the power plant just didn't come in. You know, the beans, they came up and there was like 4 stems, 5 stems coming off of them in the places, but the deer just chewed them off at, you know, 3 inches tall, and there was nothing there except weeds and then a lot of black dirt. So, you know, I put quite a bit of that in. I probably put 3 acres of that in, so that was a big strikeout. My chufa seems like it came up. You know, it doesn't seem like a real hard plant to grow for turkeys. I don't know. I haven't seen the nuts underneath the ground, but I haven't dug any up. But the chufa plant, it's popped up good. And from what I can tell, you can spray that with herbicide. And I did spray some Post Plus on some of that stuff back there to try to get the weeds under control, because I have my alpha rack back there. And like I said, I just haven't been able to do anything. And we have got no rain. That soil's got 2-inch cracks in it. And I had such a nice little covering of clover, chicory, alfalfa coming on the whole hillside, and I went up there and heck, the weeds are 2 feet tall. You know, I just haven't been able to get back there. So I gave it a spray, and I'm not sure I mixed it strong enough. But I kind of want to talk to you today. I heard my neighbor found a couple deer over there, so I smelled something when I was in the Kubota. I tracked down a doe down in a ditch, and they had a EHD, and then the neighbor, I think, had 4 bucks on his property. Then I found another 2, 3 more deer dead of EHD, and on my camera I have a lot of fawns running around with no mothers now. And when I drive through the woods, I see them too, so they're kind of striking out on their own. Some of them probably too early, so I don't know what'll happen to them. But I'm also missing a lot of pictures of bucks that I've had for many years on my, well, for a while on my cameras anyway. I can't say many years. I haven't had the property that long, but it seems like many years when you see them so often. But they're missing. I talked to the game warden. He said in our county, which is Warren, in southern Iowa, they had 100 deer dead from EHD already. And the day I called him to talk to him about it, he said he had 12 calls already that morning. And I think after I looked around a little bit on my property, and my neighbor smelled something, I went over there and I found one over on his. So I found a couple more on mine, and one on the neighbors, and called them in. They don't want to come out and look at them. There's so many of them. They just want you to call them in. But he said it's looking like this year could be worse than 2012, which in 2012 EHD took 3 out of every 10 deer in Warren County. So, you know, what we need is, you know, a lot of rain and cool weather, you know, all that stagnant water that EHD is transmitted through a little, like a little fly, and they plant their deals in the mud around water that's only 2 inches deep. They don't actually live in the water, they live in the mud bank. So like stagnant water in a mud bank, and just like all the dried up creeks I've seen on some other people's videos, they have the same type of creeks I do, you know, and usually they're running with a little bit of water, or when they go dry, then there's water in pools on the side with that you know, get stagnant, and that's where those little nymphs or whatever you want to call them grow at, and they bite only the female carries the disease, and it looks like a little horse fly, and when they bite the deer and get a pool of blood, they transmit the disease. And I've had a hard time finding out. I've heard that they can either transmit it to the deer or they can get it from the deer, so I don't know, but I've also heard different stories about how long it takes, different strains of the disease, EHD, and I think it can kill in up to like 24 hours of getting bit. And that you'll know if you have one because they're the worst smelling animal. They rot from the inside out. Their mouth all rots out. A lot of times if they have time, one of the things they'll do is they'll start limping, their hoofs split, or you know, you can possibly see one. And the DNR said last year the season went so long, or in 2012 it went so long with EHD that during hunting season, it lasted into hunting season, and hunters had reported deer that actually walked up and dropped dead out of their stand. So it's all from this, you know, having all that rain and then a drought, you know, perfect storm. I don't know. I think a little bit of benefit on my property is putting in, I got 310-gallon water tanks that are in the ground, and they're not stagnant. They have goldfish in them, and like I said, that nymph or whatever lives in the mud. It doesn't live in the water, and there's no mud around my tanks, and then I put throw and grow around them, so at least they have a good water source that should be unaffected. But you know, even last year, a lot of my big bucks, when they came in on my cameras, they were covered with mud on one side. So when it gets really hot out, I think those bucks go lay in that mud, you know, and if they're laying in that mud, then they're laying in the infected area. Anyway, I'm going to go back here. I had planned to today, but I had some other issues come up, and start disking up and putting in something for a winter crop, and hoping and praying for rain then. But as of right now, it's not been the greatest year, and I sure hope we don't get hit with this EHD as bad as what they're talking about, because if it's worse than 3 out of 10, you know, I mean, it could be 5 out of 10 pretty quick, and that's half our deer population. Although we do have an awful large deer population in that area, but nobody likes to see that. Anyway, this is the Iowa Hunter here, and you have a good one.